So for today's video, we wanted to do like a really candid, kind of like you're hanging out with me in my house video. No like fancy lighting or anything polished. My video guy actually brought me this Capri Sun that we're gonna drink together, like men. I haven't had a Capri Sun since I was like 9 years old. I think by trying to do a candid video, that therefore makes it not candid. But my wife had the idea that I throw out on Instagram a story poll of what stopped folks from getting started in real estate. So we are going to head to Chick-fil-A, because it's the Lord's food, and answer those questions on the way there. That way, if you've got one of these particular hang-ups of why you haven't started in real estate, maybe hanging out with us today helps you get over it. Is it good? I'm now the coolest 12-year-old at the lunch table. Favorite feature of my truck? I know that's super dumb, and it's been around since like 2004, but I love the auto start stuff. On the road again. All right, so I should probably wait till I back out onto the busy street I live off of.
Otherwise, we'll film our deaths.
It's all right. As I tell my wife, they'd hit you first, so that's the important thing.
That's what makes her feel better?
Uh-huh. All right, so the first reply that we got a lot of times of why folks said they weren't investing in real estate or what was holding them back is themselves. Yeah, I can absolutely, totally resonate and understand with that. You've got to hate being in your current circumstances, which for me was like super broke. I was commuting 1 hour each way to a job that I hated, but you've got to hate kind of this current status quo more than you hate like the risk or the uncomfort of what could be on the other side. When I went full-time in real estate, I had like $3,000 to my name and $3,000 a month in bills. People are like, how'd you do it? I want to do what you did. This is one of those like, I'm gonna tell you how I did it, but I'm not recommending or promoting this. I was like, hey babe, I've gotta do this. Like, I hate my life. It was like pretty much my sales pitch. And in the back of my mind, I remembered my in-laws had told me before we got married that if we ever got in trouble, they would help. So I was like, hey, worst case scenario, I can hit them up, which I really never want to do, right? Like, thanks for letting me have your pride and joy. Can you pay her bills? Was not a conversation I wanted to have, right? So I think that kind of like just verbal backstop really gave me the comfort to like, hey, I'm gonna try this. But it was also like, I was paycheck to paycheck and like super broke. So it was like, it can't really get that much worse than this, can it? So part of the thought process behind shooting this video for you guys in this way, I think people can often in their minds like build up the people that they follow online or they follow on YouTube of like, oh my gosh, they're perfect. And the reason we're doing this video this way and not how we normally do it was I got out of the shower today and forgot to rinse the conditioner out of my hair. So my video guy got here and I was like, yo, we're gonna do just a down to earth one. No sense in doing like a studio deal when I literally look like I just got out of the shower. All right, on that note, second thing that I had come up very often for why folks are not getting started is finding deals. That's kind of like saying you can't find love, but you ain't putting yourself out there, right? Like, your soulmate's not gonna like knock on your door and be like, hey there, big boy. That's not how my wife talks to me, but right? Like, you get what I'm saying. The perfect fix and flip or wholesale or rental or whatever it is that you're looking for, it's not gonna like fall in your lap. I'll never forget back when I had a day job, I like didn't really tell people what I was doing because I don't know, I like, if you tell people about it and you fail, then people might find out you failed, right? But it got to a point that I was having some success with it and I started talking about it, and literally the dude who sat next to me, the job I hated, who I'd sat next to for like years, was like, oh dude, I wish I would have known that. My grandpa died, and we just sold our house to the We Buy Ugly Houses people, and we like practically gave it to him. And I would have way rather it have gone to you. Like, I would have gotten that deal had I been out there networking or marketing or looking for deals. My first deal came off direct mail. My number one source of deals is direct mail. You know, I have SEO and Facebook ads and pay-per-click and kind of some of this other stuff going that I could sit back for a month and still have several deals come in, but it's because we built out all of that architecture. We put in all of that legwork. People aren't gonna just like, oh, that house right there, yeah, that looks like a guy that would buy my house for cash. Like, most people don't openly talk about their financial problems. So even in your own network, if people don't know that you're like a solutions provider for folks that have sticky real estate messes, or however you want to phrase it, right? If they don't know, they're not going to be like, yo, I'm broke and the bank's going to take my house. Do you know anybody that would help? No, they're not going to say anything because it's embarrassing. They want to save face, whatever. So if what's holding you back is not being able to find deals, that's pretty much all I talk about. Like, we show you step by step. In fact, the video we're shooting after this one is a deal we made $16,000 on. I'll show you where it came from, pictures of it in my CRM, all that good stuff. So make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss that. I also low-key just like driving aggressively with you in the car because I know it scares you.
Especially when I hold your $20,000 camera.
That's fair. Is it candid if I'm wearing an $800 lav and you're using a $20,000 cinema camera?
You want my Gucci shirt?
No, I'm good. I'm wearing my Gucci briefs. I always feel better like lying to people in a situation like this, like being like, yeah, I'm a real estate investor who runs a small YouTube channel. Like, yeah, I run a YouTube channel where we review fast food. Like, just feels like a more logical answer. Hey, how are you?
What can I get for you today?
I'm gonna do 2 number ones.
Alrighty.
And can I do Coke Zero with both of them?
Alrighty.
Do you want anything, Mike?
Oh yeah, I do want some.
What do you want?
Get a number one sandwich.
You're doing a number one sandwich
With
as well
American cheese.
with American cheese.
Alrighty.
And that'll be it.
That's it.
Lots of Chick-fil-A sauce.
Alrighty.
All right, so one of the other big ones that we got pretty often was money, like how to fund the deal or how to fund marketing for a deal. So it really depends on your exit. I got my start wholesaling where you don't really need like the capital to close. I realize some people don't like that with the whole like pretending you're a buyer when you're not thing. I do have a video that I'll link to above on how I made $100,000 back when I was like super broke without like actually wholesaling. It was all reverse wholesaling where I had a buyer lined up. You don't have to like analyze deals or run comps or anything that way. It's like you literally send it to somebody like me in your market. They tell you what they want to pay. You go back, get it done for a little bit cheaper, you get paid in the middle. So I'll link to that. But realistically, if you can find good opportunities, like the money will come to you, whether it's somebody like me that's like, hey, yeah, I'll fund it in exchange for a portion of profits, or hey, I'll just buy the deal from you. That way you can have more liquidity. Or another option, there's like hard money that you can use. I personally don't use hard money, it's too expensive. So the other option would be private money, like a mom and pop type situation where not actually like your mom and dad. My mom and dad have never loaned me money, but I do have folks, some of them even watch my YouTube, that we pay interest and interest only to fund purchase and rehab on flips, wholesales, rentals, and I'm typically only paying like 8 to 9%, and that's interest only. And some of them even let me pay them on the back end, like once the deal is closed at title. So if you can find, oh, that was such a tease. I thought that was my food. If you can find good opportunities, you should have no problem finding the money to do it. So that's really a limiting belief that you can get over. And I don't mean that like get over it, but I kind of do. Like, you're gonna believe what you tell yourself. So, oh.
Ryan.
Yep.
Right here for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. You guys have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you.
So the next thing that was a really common theme that people were throwing out was like time. They don't have the time to invest or the time to work on finding deals. And I'm gonna address that in 2 ways. One, if you have capital but don't have time, just be a private lender. invest in like syndications or GPs or something of that nature. I'm personally not a huge fan of the stock market. I've got like $65,000 in it because I max out an IRA, and my wife contributes to her 401k through the Navy. But other than that, I prefer to invest in things that I understand how they work. I understand how real estate works. So that's something I would do if I didn't want to go find my own deals or say be that involved. On the flip side, if you're watching this and you don't have cash just sitting that you're trying to deploy to get a return on, but you've got a pretty demanding day job, in my mastermind group, I've got folks that have like some of the most demanding jobs in the world, like work at work at NASA. Not an astronaut was what I was going to say, because I actually did an interview with him and he was quite clear about that. But doctors, lawyers, attorneys, sales guys, I mean, down to like, you know, people who work multiple jobs and side hustles, self-employed, all that. So, you know, the whole like, I don't have time for it, I think it really comes down to a priority thing. I don't want to be like that guy, but I'm willing to bet if you like sat down and actually audited where your time goes, you're probably wasting a decent bit of time doing stuff that you could cut out if it truly was important to you.
13 hours of bug snacks.
Like, you know, how much TV do you watch? Or my videographer played like 14 hours of a children's game called Bug Snacks. This isn't something that you need 500 hours a week to do, and I'm very like anti-hustle porn. I'm not your guy that's gonna be like, oh, you're just not working enough, you know, sleep when you're dead. Like, no, I believe in balance, but on the flip side of that, I also believe in being honest. And there's been times in my life that I'm like, oh, I don't have any time to get anything done, and you know, I just gotta work so much, and then it's like during work, I'm sitting there refreshing my email 5,000 times, and I'm not really doing anything. So, you know, be honest about where your time's going, and even if it's a couple hours a day that you can scrape together, that's more than enough to find your first flip or wholesale or rental property. Quite frankly, even manage it. When I started out, I had it was like a 9 to 6 day job plus an hour commute each way, and I like did the whole side hustle thing. It was nights and weekends, and it was enough that it got to the point that I was like, hey, I think I can do this full time. The last one that came up kind of super frequently was fear of the unknown, or not knowing what you don't know. And my honest advice to that is you've got to kind of figure it out as you go and roll with the punches. My first deal, you can find me talking about it back on Bigger Pockets. My like original Bigger Pockets posts were horribly embarrassing, but it was like, I have this deal under contract, now what? What should my contract say? You know, how does title work? What is a title company? Where do I find one? Like, you're gonna realize the gaps that you have as you start actually doing this. And that's the whole reason I'm on social media, is to fill those gaps. One of my like pet peeves is the guys who are like influencers but just never respond to anybody's questions. It's like, are you here to give back, or are you here just to talk, right? It's kind of like if you've got that friend that you can tell they're not really listening, they're just waiting for you to stop speaking so they can start, but that's just my pet peeve. So realistically, you're not gonna know everything. Every deal you do, there's gonna be like a figuring it out element to it. My first houses I did were way different than my first duplexes I did. My first flip was way different than the first wholesale I did. My first quad was a totally different learning experience than a duplex. The folks that are looking for a quad are more like apartments versus somebody looking for a duplex. They're looking for more like a condo or house feel, right? And all of that is so much more different than the first like 12 unit we bought. So you're not gonna have it all figured out. You're going to make mistakes, but Bigger Pockets, things like my content, other people's content online is out here for you to be able to ask questions and get them answered. So I think that kind of goes back to our first point of like, how bad do you actually want it? You can come up with excuses till you're blue in the face of why you haven't started, but if you never start, you'll never know like what could be. And personally, my big fear is at the end of my life, I look back and realize there's stuff I didn't try. I didn't actually do what I wanted. I didn't put myself out there. I would say my biggest fear is not reaching my potential. And if I can instill one fear into you, it would be that one. So I had like 4 or 5 of you jokers reply back to stuff with like, waiting for you to respond to my PM. And I know I just like made fun of people who don't reply to stuff, but like I probably get 50 to 100 private messages a day on Instagram alone, not to mention all the comments and stuff on things. If you ask somebody like me or somebody else a question and they don't reply to you right away, it's totally cool to like bump it. Now you don't want to be the guy who's like, hello, question mark, are you even a real person? Like, don't be needy, because then nobody wants to talk to you. Also, another big pet peeve, don't be the person who like comments on the post like, check your DMs please, right? But like with me, if you've asked me something in a DM and I haven't answered it, I typically get to them within a few days. Just comment it on one of my posts like, hey, have a quick question on this, what would you do here, right? So be a little persistent, but on the flip side, I'm not gonna be able to like drag you to success or to where you wanna go. You've gotta put in the work and the persistence, and I'll be blunt. If you can't get me to answer one of your questions and you give up because it was too difficult, because you had to ask something more than once, you're gonna have a hard time chasing sellers down to try to get deals. There's people we've called 50, 60, 100 times to get closed. So be persistent, and I replied to all of my DMs. So those of you that were sassy have now since heard from me. Spoiler alert, if you are in the basically if you're out of California, the Chick-fil-A sauce is really good. In California, it's thick and like Jell-O. So there's something in it that Californians know we should not eat that hasn't quite made its way back to the Midwest, but it's worth it. That felt a little sexual.
Give him something, he needs it.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you found kind of it insightful, kind of just me off the cuff responding to replies to my wife's question I've shared with you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you next time.